Self-deprecation is a really important strategy when you deal with the aviation industry. I mean, if I say, look, I'm fat, I'm an idiot, it helps you all identify with me, doesn't it?
You know what I miss the most about Bill, though, is his wicked wit. With all the various pernicious issues that airports have faced over decades, Bill's involvement in those issues always resulted in not only thoughtful contemplation of the issues, but consistently funny, self-deprecating approaches to really very effective resolution of problems.
Bill and I, when we met, he would always ask me what our airline rates and charges were in Oakland, and I would tell him, and then he would multiply that number by 5 to see if he was in the right ballpark in New York. And it was kind of a running joke with us from that standpoint.
It was always nice to joust with Bill, and when I think about the stories, in fact, some of the funniest memories that I have of Bill, when we finally opened up Terminal 5 and we celebrated JetBlue, the Port Authority, people such as the architects and the planners, and we had a great dinner. And Bill talked about how when Manhattan Island was purchased from the Indians, the documentation that was necessary when that transaction took place, and fast forwarding to how much documentation was necessary to basically put the lease together for Terminal 5. He was just a consummate storyteller.
Bill DeCota had the rare ability to manage an incredibly complicated job with apparent ease. Managing one of the largest airport systems in the world, which included 5 airports, Bill always made it look simple because he possessed clarity of vision. He always kept that vision in sight. That vision was to see everything through the eyes of the customer. Every decision he made was centered on improving customer service and the ultimate customer experience.
Bill's contributions to the aviation industry went far beyond running the world's largest airport system. He was a visionary and a powerful national voice on many important issues, including heading up a task force to reduce flight delays, modernizing airport facilities, technical initiatives to improve capacity, slot management, and almost single-handedly developing a national coalition to push next gen. And that's just to name a few. Bill was known for taking on complex issues and breaking them down so you could understand them and become a fighter for causes that mattered. Whether you immediately agreed with him or not, you learned quickly that he was worth paying attention to.
He was one of the finest human beings that I knew in the whole industry, dedicated day and night to his job and safety of operations and efficient operations in probably the most difficult setting of any aviation operations in the world. So we'll miss him, and again, our condolences.
I really enjoyed our great philosophical discussions on airport issues, particularly proprietary rights. You can imagine the interesting discussion we had when Bill called me one day to see why our junior senator from Nevada had co-sponsored a bill to eliminate the LaGuardia perimeter rule. Bill wanted to know why I couldn't talk him out of this intrusive action in the management of his airport system.
Bill was wise, pragmatic, with a photographic memory. He was a true professional. Yet his personality allowed him to approach situations with a funny, lighthearted, comical perspective. Bill had a bit of a paradoxical character you typically don't find in people. He was very willful and determined, and at the same time he had a lot of outward humility, 2 qualities which made Bill a great leader. There are so many memories of Bill. His handling of security at his airports following 9/11, his willingness to listen and give an unvarnished opinion. And of course it was Bill whose contagious enthusiasm convinced me to embrace one of his favorite causes, scouting. So when you see those photos of me in that Smokey the Bear hat, that's Bill's influence, a memory of him that I will always cherish.
Another story I think about in my mind, the picture of Bill DeCota and his love for the Boy Scouts here in Queens. And I mean, that big head of Bill, and can you imagine the Boy Scouts scout hat of the ranger at the park? And I mean, you could just see the hat and Bill's head and the kerchief around his neck. I just have so many great memories of the guy. I think about Bill every day.
Bill was an intellectual powerhouse. He was one of those people that could look at a problem, size it up, very articulately talk about what the various solutions might be, and then conclude with an unassailable recommendation for action with which no one could argue. Airports in the U.S. are stronger and better because of Bill DeCota's life and his work.
Bill DeCota was an encyclopedia of information about aviation in general, but also about the 3 airports for which he was aviation director for the Port Authority of New York, New Jersey. He lived, breathed, slept aviation. He was there from early in the morning till late at night. He did not marry, did not have a personal family of his own, but his family, his love, his life was aviation.
Courageous, intelligent, generous, and filled with wit and wisdom. I met Bill about 25 years ago, and from that very first meeting, it was clear to me that the mission of public service was in his bones. He loved to tackle hard problems in an industry where the supply is inexhaustible. He had a lawyer's ability to marshal arguments, a pragmatist's skill at negotiating, and a natural leader's ability to make himself heard.
Bill, of course, is going to be missed. He was a great voice for aviation. He was a true asset to ACI, and there are no words that I could express to tell you how much I will miss him.
Bill was a giant of a man. I miss him very much. The industry misses him very much, and we are grateful for the contributions he made during his life.
Bill certainly contributed greatly to the airport industry, and we are a better industry today because of his contributions. I will miss his great insight, passion, and intellect, and his great wit. Bill truly deserves this honor of the William E. Downs Jr. Memorial Award.
So the reality is I get no respect. And I saw a quote by Rodney Dangerfield. I said it's really appropriate. It said, if I played hide and seek, the other people wouldn't even come look for me. It's really true. I get no respect. So some of my staff said, well, that's because you look a lot like Rodney Dangerfield. You're over middle age, you got a pessimistic monologue, you're always like dark and grim. And that's in stark contrast. You ever see some of the airline CEOs who stand at this podium? They're all like good looking, they're young, they're rich. I mean, this suit came from Cy Sims. You know where their suits come from? I'm not even subject to the alternative minimum tax, I have to tell you, as head of this airport system.